Good morning, everybody. Hello out there in video land. My name is Paul K. Lemire. This is absolutely coming to you live. Absolutely from Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada. The only show of its kind in Ontario.
There's no other show like Absolutely anywhere.
I don't think so.
I think
this is it. We're it right here in the studios of 4680Q Radio, across from the Meteor Crater in downtown Niagara Falls. If you want to locate us, we're at 47 degrees south and 50 degrees east-west, and by latitude 43, 48, 75.
Wow.
And if you look that up, you're going to find out you're nowhere near where
you're near the crater.
Because
you're right in the middle of that crater. We're on the other side.
We are on the other side, I must say that. We're always on the other side. Okay, so Johnny boy, the Habs this week, and I couldn't be happier. We don't want to really get into everything yet. We're going to do a little bit of, you know what?
Well, first we want to talk about.
We're going to talk about a little bit.
A correction.
Oh, okay. We're correcting.
So last week we spoke about the first game of the season.
Yes.
I believed it was in Ottawa with the Habs. But
okay.
Indeed, you are correct. They're opening the season, I believe, on the Wednesday with a game in Toronto.
October the 9th.
Or that game is in Montreal, though.
Yes, this isn't working, this thing. We're still picking. It doesn't matter. Oops, it slid down too far here. Oh, okay. Now the radio's going to pick John up a little bit.
There we go. Is that better?
That's a lot better. But we got you on the video anyway. The video always works. We got special microphones for that.
So anyway, let's get back to making the correction.
Loud and clear.
I happen to have an Apple iPhone, and I use my Apple News.
That's your problem right there.
And they have a special sports portal that you can grab into, and then you can select your team, and then it gives you everything you want to know about your team, the most up-to-date stories, et cetera, et cetera. And, of course, I have the Montreal Canadiens selected in my telephone.
Yeah.
And when I hit scores and schedules, it comes up that October the 5th on 2024, there's a game with Montreal playing Ottawa.
They are. That's a preseason.
And that looks to me like that's going to be the first game of the season, the way this is presented by Apple. But, in fact, it's not. That's because
it's not.
That's because the schedule does start during October the 5th. There are two games being played, I believe, in England.
Yes, you're right. You're right.
And so the way Apple has set this up is it's reading all games that start when the NHL actually starts their season, which is over in England, even though NHL teams are playing preseason games during the NHL season.
Very confusing.
I don't remember this happening before.
Me neither.
I mean, maybe in the last couple of years, but back in the day when hockey was hockey,
it
never went like that.
No. Weird, huh?
Strange.
Well, very easy for Apple, which is an inferior product, to confuse that. Because my Samsung tells me straight out.
Yeah, very confusing. I mean, what can I say? I mean, get your shit together. You know, come on.
Yeah, come on. I mean, c'est dommage.
Yeah.
C'est dommage. Okay, so then we got that out of the way. And
so the first game will be Toronto playing Montreal at the Bell Center.
Wednesday, October 9th.
Correct.
Yeah, can't wait. This is going to be so great. Let's face it. Come on, it's going to be great. I can't wait for it. And tomorrow night, they play Toronto in the preseason.
Wow.
So there you go. Even more confusing when we beat Toronto by about 3 or 4 to nothing, maybe. Okay, so we have
and I have a nice shirt.
Yes, where'd you get that now?
One of our fans sent me some Montreal Canadiens swag, which is great.
Wow, that's nice.
I'm hoping that more fans out there not only like us and leave comments and give us thumbs ups, but I hope they continue to send out swag too. Absolutely.
You never know. We'll wear it on air, that's for sure. And if you're going to send me anything, you better send me extra large because this kitty stuff don't fit me.
Medium.
There you go. I don't know anybody sending us anything. But if they do, yeah, what the heck. Okay, so what do we do first all the time every week?
Every week, the first thing we do is turn on the microphone. No, we do Habs trivia.
And, we do have 2 preseason games under our belt, and I'm feeling very good about what I saw, and we're going to get into that. But Habs trivia first. Now, this guy, Guy Pointu-Lapointe.
Guy Lapointe.
Guy Lapointe, all-star defenseman for the Habs.
Numéro 5.
No, yes, known for his excellent play and sense of humor. He still holds the record for the most goals in a season by Habs defensemen. His sense of humor is remembered by one of his best gags. And I'm going to give you 4 gags he pulled.
Most goals by a Habs defenseman.
In a season, except for this year when Lane Hutson breaks it.
How many goals in a season?
I think it was 28 goals.
That's impressive.
It is.
Seriously.
It is. That's a lot of goals for a defenseman.
And I'm sure they were on the PP.
Some of them were. And I think Lane Hutson may be the guy who's going to be chasing that record.
Great record to chase.
It is.
And it's always great to see people break records.
Oh, I love watching people break records. I mean, that's what we.
Back in the 70s, somebody in Chicago at a White Sox game broke a lot of disco records.
There you go. But these records are great for us because if one of our defensemen does break this record, we're having a good season.
Absolutely.
So, and I think it could be Lane Hutson.
Lane Hutson, eh?
I'm thinking, but he was a gagster. He loved pulling gags on people. I'm going to give you 4 gags here.
Okay.
And you tell me which one is the one that he pulled.
Okay.
Okay? Okay, number 1. He tied all the laces of the players' skates together in the locker room before a game.
That's a lot of skates.
He donned a wig.
Did he wait. Let's go back to the skates.
Okay.
So how did he tie your left and your right together?
Yeah.
Or did he tie all the skates together?
Now he went out to all the skates that were hanging up and tied them together. So when the players got to them, they had to undo them all.
Just each player's skates.
Yeah.
Not.
Yeah.
I mean, if he put the ball in a line, that would have been great.
No, he didn't tie them. He just went to each individual player.
Okay.
He donned a wig and imitated Guy Lafleur with his hair flowing in the wind as he skated down the wing in practice.
Well, that I like. I like that.
A nice blonde wig. He's skating down the thing and his hair's flowing just like he imitated Lafleur.
Nothing like getting dressed up for a night out.
Number 3, he coated his hand with Vaseline.
Yeah, I don't want to go there.
Before he shook the hand of then Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau when Trudeau visited the dressing room.
I don't want to go there. Anybody who coats their hand in Vaseline, I don't want to go there. Okay? End of story.
And he stole rookie Mario Tremblay's car, parked it in another part of the parking garage, causing Tremblay to file a report with his police that his car was stolen, but he never told them that he moved it to another part of the garage for 2 days.
That's classic. Okay? I mean, and that's been done many teams that happens. Football teams, I've heard professional football teams do those types of pranks where they move somebody's car and somebody's a rookie, especially now, a rookie comes in and they have they've done a big signing bonus, or like Slavkovsky, he's getting good chunk of money. He goes out and buys a nice, great car. He drives it in. And while he's on the ice, they have a tow truck come and move it. And Slav comes out and goes, "What is my car? My car is gone." And they do that to Mitch Marner all the time in Toronto.
Yeah.
But
they hijack him.
I like that one. But I'm going to go with number 2 because I really kind of can see the humor in dressing up like Guy with a blonde wig and skating on the ice.
Okay, the right answer, and all you out there in video land, what do you think it is? What do you think it is? Did he tie all the laces of a player's skates together in the locker room before a game?
That's way too much work.
Did he don a wig and imitate Guy Lafleur skating down with a wig flowing in the wind?
Do you think I'm sexy?
Did he coat his hand with Vaseline and then shook Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau's hand?
Not going there.
Or did he steal rookie Mario Tremblay's car and park it in another part of the lot? And he called the cops, Tremblay, to report his car was stolen.
Great.
What do you think?
That's a great prank.
The actual true one that he is remembered by is he coated his hand with Vaseline before he shook the hand of the Prime Minister.
I'm not going there.
That's the one he was remembered for.
Oh.
Now, the other, number one, I made up. Number two, I made up.
Number
But
two,
number
I like
four-
number two.
But number four, he also did number four.
Number four is a classic.
It's a classic.
A lot of teams do that.
Yeah, he actually did that as well. But the one he was known for was coating his hand with Vaseline before he
Yuck.
shook the hand of PM Pierre Trudeau when Trudeau visited the Habs dressing room.
Yuck.
I know.
That's all I can say.
I read that and I was laughing my head off. I mean, I can't imagine somebody doing that, but
Well,
he did it.
I think people do that a lot every day, but I don't think they shake.
Well, if they're on,
I don't know if they were shaking hands.
I think if they're on,
I don't know if they're shaking hands.
If they're on P. Diddy's list, they had the Vaseline.
I mean, I think Trump, that was his modus operandi.
But anyway, Guy Lapointe played 13 seasons with the Habs, being moved to the St. Louis Blues and then finally the Boston Bruins for his last season in the NHL. Known for his excellence of play, Lapointe was a key player in the Habs' four consecutive Stanley Cup run in the late 70s, giving him six.
That would make you retire, right?
Yeah, going to the Bruins?
Exactly.
Oh, for sure. You
say,
know
that's it. I'm out of here.
You know it's over when
it's
you
done.
hit Boston.
Yeah, you got to wear that jersey.
Yeah, it's
finished.
Yeah, it's not very nice. But he had 6 Stanley Cups. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 93, played 884 NHL games, amassing 171 goals, 451 assists for 622 points, and of course still holds the record for most goals by a Montreal D-man at 28, and most goals for a rookie defenseman on Montreal with 15 goals.
Is he in the Hall of Fame?
Yes, he is. He hit the Hall of Fame in 1993.
Is his number retired?
It is, and it's retired with number 5, the other great number 5.
The Boom Boom Geoffrion.
Boom Boom Geoffrion, that's right. Yep.
And Bobby Fillion.
And Bobby Fillion, who was your cousin or uncle, right?
My distant uncle.
Your distant uncle. There you go. Jean-Jacques Fillion. But yeah, so what a great guy, and he was a real jokester.
What a great number.
And what a great number. Great jokester. Loved to pull gags on the boys in the dressing room.
Never shake his hand.
But never.
That's the takeaway.
I would
never shake his hand.
Yeah, if you ever meet him and he wants to shake your hand, put a glove on.
Not going there.
Be safe. Wear a glove.
Not putting a glove on either.
Yeah. Oh, funny. When I was reading that, I was kind of laughing, because it's so crazy. And,
laughing and crying.
Yeah, and most of these trivias with these crazy things, I make up the answers.
Which we love.
I make up the answers. So there's usually only one, except that time there was 2, because he actually did that to Mario Tremblay, and I thought that was pretty hilarious.
I think that's a great prank. It's done often, and it's a really good prank.
Yep. So there you go. There you go. Our guy this week, Guy Lapointe, and I loved watching him play. He was a tough as nails, and just a good, solid skating defenseman.
I mean, you had Robinson, Lapointe, and Savard.
The big 3.
Man, it doesn't get better than that, really.
They call him the big 3.
It doesn't get better than that, unless it's, I guess, Reinbacher.
Well, we're going to talk about him.
Hutson.
We're definitely going to talk about him.
And
Mailloux.
Mailloux.
Ooh. Okay.
I mean, the opportunity is there, guys.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right history.
And they're going to be the guys to do it, perhaps. Let's get into the game. So I think we have to be very, very happy about how this preseason's going so far. And for several reasons, not just because we won the games, but because of the things that are going on within the game and these trainees or prospects, whatever you want to call them, playing in these games.
And it's odd that you brought up this trivia today with Guy Lapointe. Shaking the hand of Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau. And another Trudeau last night got a couple of assists.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes.
And that guy, we'll talk about him too. But let's talk about him now, because I really, really didn't even know. He wasn't on my radar. Let me put it that way. We've been talking for months about this with Drew Deeks and everybody else. And this Trudeau guy wasn't on my radar, and all of a sudden he steps up and gets a couple of assists, and I'm going, wow.
He's on somebody's radar, that's for sure.
You got that right, and he's kind of snuck up on me as far as like the way this guy could play. I think we'll see him on the Habs. I don't know about this year, probably not, but in the future for sure.
It's getting. I mean, I wrote one word down for today,
Okay.
and the word is depth.
Good word. Good word.
You know, I mean, it's astounding. It's astounding how many great players we have on our team.
Well, you know what's funny? I'm sitting there after the first game, and I'm sitting down going, okay, like, who am I going to talk about that I really was impressed with? And I started writing names down. And I had the whole team on the paper in about 5 minutes. I said, oh, this guy, this guy. And so I had to really, take a look at everybody because in a 5-0 win, I mean, what can I say? You look at everybody who was involved, and it was just a phenomenal effort. And even last night's game was fantastic.
And not only that, on a 5-0 win, you're writing down the names of the players that are impressing you, but the team that was out on the ice for the 3-0 win weren't even on the ice for the 5-0 win.
No, it was this whole separate team.
It's a whole separate team. Plus, there are more.
Well, we got another line going out tonight.
There are more.
Or tomorrow night. There'll be another. I think they had 3 lines. 3 lineups, like for 3 different games.
Teams, basically.
Yeah, and I think the third team was basically the guys who probably aren't going to get into the team, of course, this year. Most of them won't, let's face it, because we only have room for so many. We got so many, right? So, but yeah, it was wild to watch these 2 different teams go to town and play fantastic.
With very similar results.
Yeah, and you know what really got me? I'm sitting here, but for the last, probably since May, and we've been talking about goaltending and goaltending and goaltending and goaltending. And then you have 4 goaltenders who step up and just play phenomenal. I mean, they haven't had a goal scored on them in 2 games. I don't know what to say about that. I never expected it.
Back-to-back shutouts.
Yeah.
Excellent. I mean, the team is really... And when you get a team like that, like, that wins 2 games in a row with different players, almost like in the same style, it speaks to the fact that everybody's playing a system.
Yeah, it does.
And they're adhering to it.
And they're all on the same page, it looks like. It was a little bit...
It's very impressive.
Yeah, the second game was a little bit more scattered, but eventually Montreal took over that game, and they really took over in the third period. I mean, they just played fantastic. And, yes, it's preseason, and yes, this and that, we'll talk about the second game, but the first game, I was really happy about what I saw, and the players that I expected to perform did. Lane Hutson, I mean, this kid put on quite a show. Every time he touched the puck, he's very creative. He's skating around. Unbelievable. That's all I can say. And I know that when we have opening night on October 9th, Lane Hutson will be on the roster sitting on the bench in Montreal. I can almost guarantee that. He's just,
almost.
Yeah, he's just that good. I don't think we can sit him. I think we need him. And it showed last night in last night's game where we had 8 power plays and didn't get a goal. And I mean,
and not only do we maybe need Lane Hutson, but maybe we need more to bring Lane Hutson and give him NHL experience.
Yeah, I don't see him developing any more in the AHL. I mean, he's good enough to be in the NHL, and throw him in with a guy like Savard.
And that's the key. The key now is developing these players so that come 3, 4, 5 years from now, they are like staunch professionals. They are seasoned, and they are ready to play 110 games or how many games it takes to win a Stanley Cup.
Yeah, well, 82-16. That's all we have to do. We win 4 straight right out. That's 90.
There you go.
98 games. That's what we'd like to play. 98 games.
98 games.
Yeah. The guy who impressed me in the game 1, the first game 2, was someone I really consider expendable. And that was Justin Barron. I thought he had a fantastic game.
And that is the challenge. That is it in a nutshell. we have a lot of players that we have drafted and procured that we have high expectations for and are ecstatic about, and we can't wait for them to be playing in the big league.
Yeah, and I know Drew.
But yet we have all these other players who have been in our system and who are actually seem to be lighting it up, coming of age, actually playing to a higher ceiling.
Yeah, well, I know Drew Deeks is big, always big on Justin Barron, and he never says, "I don't want to give up on this guy yet." But I think Drew might have something here because he looked fantastic in that first game. I really liked the way he played the game. He played good.
Well, I think that's what is going to be the challenge. Is we have a lot of players now who are really trying to push the ceiling.
Yeah, there's a lot of competition.
And that's exciting. And it seems to be also a very healthy situation of competition. People trying to bring out their best, play their best game. And it speaks totally to the culture that the head office is trying to instill in all of these players.
Yeah, and like Josh Anderson, I mean, he got a goal in the first game. I was so happy for him because last year he had so many chances. He was snake bit. He just couldn't get it in the net. And to go in the first preseason game and get a beautiful deflection, I mean, and a great pass to him, of course.
And deservedly so, because Josh Anderson has spent countless days and hours in Montreal playing with some of the prospects and the rookies, like spending more time than a lot of the veterans at the office, we'll call it, as well as studying his own game film from last year. Like, he's seriously trying to improve his game or fix his game or reboot his game.
Yeah, and the way he's all over the ice and he hits and bumps and he's just a great player. Snake bit last year, but this could be a year where he really, really shows his stuff. Now, Patrick Laine was fantastic. 5 shots, always a threat while on the ice. Whenever he had that puck near his stick, I felt he was going to get a goal. He never did, but man, he had shots and he had great chances. He found open ice. This guy's the real deal.
And from what I've read, 18,000 people sitting in the Bell Center felt the same way as you did, that when Patrick touched that puck, people started to rise out of their seats.
Yeah.
And it was very reminiscent of back in the 70s when Guy Lapointe would put on a blonde wig and skate around. No, when Guy Lafleur would grab the puck.
Exactly. And that's how I felt when I saw him. Like there's this anticipation that he's going to get one. He never did, but you know what? He got the shots and he was out there skating.
But I mean, that's the first time he's touched puck and ice in a game situation like that in what?
Maybe a year
and a half at least.
A year and a half, yeah.
A year and a half at least.
Dvorak's still a stiff. We have better guys on the ice that could take his place. I wasn't impressed with Dvorak at all. Some people say he won a lot of the face-offs and that kind of thing, but I really wasn't impressed with him. That's just me, though. I think he should be traded, and we have better players that are coming up that could replace him very easily.
Well, and that's part of the dilemma, is that at one point we're trying to encourage young players and bring them forward at the right time so that they understand the mythology of what we're trying to execute on the ice and how best to prepare them for that. Is it putting them in the AHL? Is it bringing them into the NHL sooner than later? And there are players that can contribute now and have contributed to the team, but 5 years from now, most likely won't be with the team, whether it's a factor of age, et cetera,
contract, whatever.
And so those are the things that we have to look at and make some very tough decisions.
Now these 3 guys blew my mind. I was watching them just going, wow. You know, Kapanen, Heineman, and Engstrom. These three guys were all over the ice. Kapanen, this is a discovery. This guy was good. And Heineman was the same. Engstrom was the same. Now, whether they're going to make it to start with the Habs or not, probably not. But I'll tell you one thing: with these kind of guys sitting in Laval, and if we get injuries, we have to bring people up. I mean, they were great. They were a threat every time they stepped onto the ice. They impressed me with their talent. And this goes towards the depth the Canadians have. Yeah, they might not be playing with the Canadians right away, but they're there if we need them. And I think they're just they look fantastic.
And that's, I mean, a specific dilemma is Kapanen. So, you know, he resides in Finland. He plays in the Finnish league. My understanding is that he's signed to like what's the
I don't think
entry level contract.
An entry level contract.
So he's he's not expensive. He had a good season last year in Finland. He had an even better World Junior campaign, and now he's looking stellar already in the preseason as well. As well as in the training camp. So, what do we do with him? Would he be best brought into an NHL situation now for his his advancement? Or would he? But if we don't decide to have him be a starter in the very first game, my understanding is he must go back to Finland from some kind of contractual situation.
Yeah, that's fine.
And then if he's in Finland, though, if we need him later in the season, we won't be able to bring him. So that's a kind of dilemma that Kent Hughes and the whole management and scouts and everyone else in the Montreal front office are going to be faced with, making those types of decisions on about, 70 bodies? 60, 60 for sure, maybe 70 bodies. I mean, when I looked at one of the game sheets, I think they played Philadelphia the first game, they show all the scratches. And Montreal had twice as many scratches as Philly did for that game.
There you go. Mailloux, he had a phenomenal game. He took care of business, although not as flashy as Hutson. He did his job, and he did it well. And that's another guy that I think they played him right again the next night, right? They brought him in for the game last night against the Devils, and he had a good game. I mean, I can see him being a starting defenseman with the Habs when the season opens.
That's a bit of an indicator to see Logan Mailloux play 2 nights in a row.
Yes, it is.
It'll be interesting to see if Logan Mailloux plays Thursday night.
3 nights in a row.
Yes, that'll be very interesting.
But I liked his game too. He was big. He's tough back there. He moves around in the offensive zone. He had some great shots on net. He might even got an assist or something like that. I can't remember all the scoring, but yeah, he was good. Jack-Eye was Jack-Eye. The sheriff's back in town delivering hits like Skip the Dishes delivers burgers. Great to see him patrolling the blue line, playing 1/3 of the game, clocking in at just over 20 minutes of game time, and that's pretty neat in training camp, preseason games.
Absolutely, and Mailloux did get an assist in the Philly game.
Yeah, I thought he did. And I really like the second line ripping it up. I mean, I called them the second line because that's what they're being touted as when they hit the Habs at the beginning of the season. Newhook, Doc, and Laine. They appear to be ready, and they're going to be a factor in every game. Newhook is fast. Doc is good.
Newhook is very fast.
As long as they stay healthy, that's all we're hoping for. When Doc, we want to make sure he gets through the season. But man, oh man, that line looked tremendous. They didn't get any points, but they're always a threat, and they'll meld and eventually be a factor.
Well, what's going to be interesting as well is that we bring our top 2 lines, and then our third line could be a very productive line because depending on who we're going up against. And I think line matchups this year, more than maybe in previous years, are going to be extremely important as we face opponents. Are they going to try and match a checking line against one of our starting line or a tougher line instead of playing the two top lines against each other? And then, if that's the case, then is our third line playing against the top number one line of an opponent? So line matchups, I think this year are going to be very, very interesting.
They are. It's going to be very, very interesting. And I'm gonna say something right now that a lot of people may disagree with me on. But I think Newhook, Doc, and Line A are going to give that first line of Cole Caulfields, Suzuki,
Slafkovsky,
and Slafkovsky a run for their money and points. I really do.
I think the whole team is going to push, as they say in Formula One.
And I'll tell you why. Because that first line is going to be up against other first lines. A little bit tougher. The second line is going to be the sleeper line that's going to be just as good, if not better, than our actual named first line. But they may not have to play against the players that the first line does. And in that regard, they may just outdo them. I'll tell you, when I saw them skating around as compared to the first line skating around last night, I I was way more ready to watch the Newhook, Doc, and Lining line play than Slafkovsky, Caulfield, and Suzuki. So
and people are saying, like this Heineman, if he sticks, that will change the look of one of the lines. And that could become a very exciting line. And, we still have like Armia and Gallagher.
Yes.
I mean, we have Josh Anderson now firing. So it could get very interesting, even deeper. And I believe all these players now, they've all got that. I mean, they're reading. You can talk to hockey players and they can say, everybody says they don't read the press. But guess what? They know. They know what's being said. And it's very easy to see what's happening in Montreal. And if you're living in Montreal, I mean, you're seeing it every day. You're living it every minute. And so if you're a guy like Josh Anderson and you're being encouraged, actually, you're being supported, you're being like uplifted. You're not getting negativity when you walk into that building. You're being like, hey, we're so glad that you're here. Great that you want to put in the work. You're being elevated. Guys like the other guy that we haven't mentioned yet is Pizzetta. Like all of a sudden, Pizzetta is like, I'm here to play hockey.
Yeah, that's the second game.
Well, guess what? I mean, like I really thought I love Michael Pizzetta. I've said it many times here on the show.
Yeah,
but I don't know if Michael Pizzetta is part of the rebuild plan. I don't really think I would say he wouldn't be there in 5 years, but maybe Pez is going to prove us wrong. I don't know, but he's taking whatever opportunity he has right now and driving home his point that he wants to be a Montreal Canadian. And that's what's amazing about this whole group of individuals. They all want to come and play and be a part of this amazing team.
Oh yeah, that's last night's game, and I got to give Pez credit. He stepped up. I mean, this guy, he wants to be part of it, and he stepped up and showed that he can be. I always love Pizzetta. I mean, I love what he brings to the table. Hard work, tough guy. He never gets on the ice without working, and I like that attitude. And last night he potted a couple and said, "Hey boys, I didn't come here just to have coffee with you. I'm here to get a spot."
And that was the point with Kapanen. People going, "Wow, Kapanen, he's going to make it difficult. He's going to have a hard decision here." Well, he's going to have more than one hard decision. He's going to have an awful lot of hard decisions when guys like Pizzetta and Anderson start to contribute the way that we expected them to play from not the last season, but the previous season before that.
Yeah, and if they start firing and that third and fourth line start really getting good with some of these new guys, maybe they're going to bring up, it's going to be a very interesting when it comes to cutting players and sending players back down.
And it's also going to change maybe the face of the Montreal Canadiens for the 2024-25 season. We might see some more 3-0 and 5-0 games, but in our favor.
Yeah, exactly.
Games like, there were so many 1-goal games last year. Maybe this year there'll be 2 and 3 goal games that we lead.
Yeah. And there's a couple other guys, Kandata and Wah, and they were okay. I mean, they played good, but I think that we have better than we can ice better right now. And you know what? Last year we were talking about Wah, and he was going to be the guy, right?
Well, we needed Joshua Wah last year too.
Well, he was out because he got injured, didn't he? At the end of the season.
Yes, but but at one point we needed him because of injuries.
Yeah, but this year when you look at him, with all these other guys hanging around, he doesn't strike me as being a force. And we still have Sauce that's got to come back in December. Is there going to be a spot for him in December if we're winning games?
And we don't know.
We don't know, right?
We don't know, and that goes back to like, the way hockey players were like 60, 70 years ago, when you didn't make a lot of money, your career was playing hockey, and you got injured. You were like, this isn't good, because if somebody replaces me and plays well, then I won't get to play, and not only will I not be able to play, I won't be getting paid, and I need the money.
Yeah,
in a situation like this, most likely Sauce is still receiving sufficient funds for him to have a nice life.
Yeah, he's on disability.
But that didn't work. It didn't work like that 60 to 70 years ago.
No. You played to get paid.
Absolutely, and you made sure if you had a minor injury, you hit it, because you didn't want somebody taking your spot. So, a little different.
Yeah, it is. Last two guys I want to mention, and this made me smile. This made me smile at the end of the game, and that was Caden Primo and Dobish with a shutout. Caden Primo.
It's like a happy ending, right?
It's like a happy ending with Vaseline.
Ooh.
But I'm going to tell you, Caden Primo, I have been this guy's biggest fan for 5 years now, since he got into being, he's going to be
into the NHL.
Yep, and I can't wait for him to perform. I think he's going to be the number one goalie this year. That's my opinion. But I'll tell you, him and Dobish both together shut the game down, shut him out. And I was happy at the end of the game when the players were tapping them and giving them the headbutt and everything, because they deserved it. And it's so good to see them. And I thought, okay, now Sammy and Hughes were playing the last night. And I'm going, okay, you guys, let's see what you have here. What do? They make me smile again. Another happy ending.
I mean, it's great to go into these games and have all four goalies not let a puck past them.
Yeah, and
it's so good. It's what a great way to start. It's so good for their confidence. It speaks to, again, a happy winning culture.
Yes.
And I got to believe that today, being in Montreal at the Bell Center, everybody's just got to be on cloud nine.
Yeah, the coaches,
everyone,
the general manager, the players, the goalies, everybody.
And that becomes contagious. And that also becomes that culture we talked about expectations, about this is what life can be every day if we're responsible and do what we set out to do together.
And, I know people are going to say, well, it's only training camp. Don't get all excited. Don't get down. Don't get excited. And I'm going, well, yeah, I get it. But still, I mean, we went through training camp and preseason last year, and it wasn't as pretty watching. It was concerning. And we've been told by Carey Price before, when we lost every game in preseason, chillax. It's only preseason. But you know what? This is like John said. It's bringing the team together, building a culture, people vying for jobs, and instead of being down in Laval on buses. And it means a lot to the players.
Yeah.
And it means a lot to the fans to see us get two shutouts in a row.
And
and our goalies perform.
Yeah, and no disrespect to Carey Price,
No,
because if you're losing preseason games, yeah, you definitely don't. You need some space, but this is a different organization than when Carey Price was losing preseason games.
That's right.
And this organization has told the team over the last 3 or 4 years, we're doing a rebuild. We are working on a rebuild. We know we're not going to win games. Trust in us. We've asked it for your trust. Give us some time to initiate this rebuild. And the rebuild is basically based on acquiring a lot of draft choices, making very intelligent decisions in who we bring in as prospects, keeping our core players and not trading them away, and then picking up unrestricted free agents when they're available, if they fit our culture, and as well looking for specific players who are drafted in maybe the first round of the NHL that didn't fit with another team. They were definitely considerations. So we've done it in a very specific way to put this team or build this team. And now we're starting to see the fruits of that. And as we progress, that's when you're hearing a guy like MSL say, now it's becomes now your responsibility to be your best, play your best, because we are going forward here. We also need to set a tone of winning, because that is what this team is built on, a winning habit. And so, that's the evolvement we're seeing in change. So it's very, what's the word I'm looking for? Ironic. Isn't it ironic that we're doing a show right now on Crave called The Rebuild, and we're seeing this rebuild real time moved into the next level. So you're watching basically them talking about how we're going to do the rebuild, and right now I think you're seeing the start of the actual rebuild.
You see the sequel
taking place. You're seeing the fruit of what they've started to do.
So last night we played the Devils and we won 3-0. And like I said, I think it was a great game. Montreal really took over the third period. They had the big advantage in the third. And the guy that stood out to me that I watched, and I might be a little biased here, but was Owen Beck. I thought he had a tremendous game. He was named one of the stars of the game, by the way. And I'll tell you, this guy is working his way to a spot on opening day. He did it all.
We talked over the last 2 or 3 podcasts about 2 guys a lot, Owen Beck and Lane Hutson.
Yep.
And saying that these are the 2 guys that we both believe will be at the Bell Center when the puck is dropped and Montreal's playing Toronto on October the 9th.
On October 9th, 7 o'clock in Habsland.
I think Lane Hutson and Owen Beck are doing everything possible to make that happen.
Yeah, and a lot of people are high on Owen Beck now. We were when we interviewed him, we thought this kid, and now he's working his way, and he had a great game. Of course,
he continues to improve, that's the beauty of Owen Beck. Each year for the last 3 to 4 years, he continues to get better and better, and he physically is improving himself as well, mentally improving himself, and he's slowly building himself into a modern day National Hockey League Montreal Canadian hockey player.
That's true. And the other thing that put a smile on my face last night was, like we talked about, Pizzetta. You know why he's a fan favorite? He's always working when he's on the ice. Never slows down. Potted 2 of the 3 Habs goals. I mean,
Pizzetta is a colorful
I love the guy.
Pizzetta is a colorful hockey player. I mean, he goes out there and he's not afraid to scrap. Number 1. Number 2, if his line hits the ice and it's kind of been very dull hockey, he will go out there and run somebody through the boards.
Yeah, he'll rev it up.
He will try to bring the level up.
Yep.
And he can put the puck in the net, and he is exciting to watch. Is he? How long can he play in the National Hockey League? I don't know. Is he the caliber of Brendan Gallagher? I don't know. But he brings enthusiasm 110% to the game.
Gives it all.
He lays it out on the line.
Yep.
He puts everything that he has out. He is always trying to be his best. And it's exciting to see a guy who we haven't talked about a lot, and nobody has talked about a lot over the last 6 months, because everybody's been talking about, the Lane Hutsons and the Owen Becks and, everybody else that, we're drafting. I mean, we haven't even talked about the guy over Demidov. We haven't even mentioned Demidov.
No.
And there was so much talk about him over the last 3 months. And now Pizzetta comes out and says, okay, I'm here. Let's go. Yeah, I can play hockey.
Yeah, well, Demidov's not doing bad. He's got 6 points in 6 games over in the KHL.
So. Absolutely. But Pizzetta's saying, I'm not done here. I want to play here. I want to be here. And that's that enthusiasm that I think is going through that entire building. Everybody who's in that building wants to be in that building. I don't think that can be said in a lot of other rings.
No. Mailloux had another steady game on D. I mean, this guy, I think he's going to be in the lineup. Like I said, we already talked about him, but I just really liked him. The guy who was invisible to me, it kind of disappointed me a little bit, was Reinbacher. You wouldn't know he was even on the ice when he was there. I think he needs a season in Laval and to tune up, and maybe it's the ice service, whatever it is. I don't think he's NHL ready now. I mean, he will be. He's going to be a star, but I don't think he's now. And you know what? I think he has a lot of people wondering why we chose him instead of Mishkov.
Well,
I'm just putting that out there.
Here's what I'm going to say about Reinbacher. Reinbacher is not changing his game. So Reinbacher is kind of that steady defenseman, and he's all about moving the puck out of your zone. And Reinbacher has all those tools. And I don't think Reinbacher necessarily wants to play this year, but I think Reinbacher is dedicated to having a great professional hockey career in Montreal. And I think Reinbacher will be a very valuable asset when a guy like Savard is forced into retirement due to his age.
Yeah, I don't think he's this year, but he could be next year.
I mean, the worst thing that we can do is actually bring Reinbacher onto this team, have like Savard and Matheson. They're going to be matched up with 2 other younger halves. Okay? They're probably going to be your top 4D. So they're going to be getting the minutes. Okay? So Reinbacher is going to be, if he's playing, if he was on the team, he could be relegated to 5, 6, or 7th. And if that's the case, it's not enough ice time for his development.
He's better in Laval.
This year, he's definitely better in Laval.
Now, Sammy and Hughes put on a goaltending clinic. I mean, watching these 2 guys after the shutout the night before, they had something to live up to. And they did. Both were outstanding for the shutout. And I'm just thinking, maybe, one of my biggest concerns, and always has been goaltending. What are Habs going to do? Should we pick up this guy? Should we pick up that guy? Who do we have in the wings? Fowler's in the wings. Can these guys get through the season? And I'm going to tell you, they're looking pretty sharp right now. I don't know what they're going to be like when the season starts, but we know Hughes probably won't be there, and we know that Dobish won't be there. But Sammy and Primo, they may be good enough for us to make it to the playoffs. They may just be.
I believe they're both NHL goalies. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, yeah.
I believe that if we get a stronger performance from our defense and we're scoring more goals, they can carry us to the playoffs.
There you go. And I have to agree. And we were hoping that. Now we're seeing it, which makes me a lot happier than hoping it. And we'll see by the end of the preseason where we're at, and of course when the season starts. But
goaltending, hockey is about mistakes, and it's about the team that makes the least amount of mistakes maybe will win the game. And so if your D is playing and making less mistakes and moving that puck, if you have more control of the puck and it's in your O zone rather than in your D zone more often, less goals most likely could be scored. As well as if everybody's lining up and doing their responsibilities, it makes it that much easier for a goaltender to actually make the save. And so
true enough.
It comes down to that. It comes down a lot of times to that. And again, for a goaltender, a lot of it is confidence. A lot of it's a mind game. I mean, these guys, I believe, all have skills. That's why they're playing in the NHL. That's why they've been selected. So winning also brings confidence to your game and makes you play better. You're not thinking about what am I doing wrong? When you're winning, you're really not thinking about when you're losing, you're definitely going, what am I doing wrong? What did I do? And so it's that mindset as well that will help Montreal get to the playoffs.
Now, last night, a major concern of mine was the power play. We had 8 chances, never got a goal on those 8 chances, and we had a lot of our top guys out there on the power play. But as I started to think about it, and I was thinking, this is our number 1 power play lane. We had Matheson, we had Slafkovsky, we had Caulfield, we had Suzuki, and we couldn't put 1 puck in during 8 power plays. But then I'm thinking, is this really our first power play line? I don't think it is, because you got guys like, Lane Hutson, Patrick Laine, and some of these guys missing. And when you start putting them guys on the ice together, we may be a lot more happier than we were last night. So although I wasn't happy about it, I'm thinking we're going to be a bit better than we showed last night.
That's a very good point. And I don't know what's going on in practices. I haven't watched any practices. I don't know if they're airing them all. But when they're practicing the power play, who's on it?
Well, somebody put on the Facebook today that Marty St. Louis said that he hasn't been working on the power play just yet.
And I believe that.
But I'm going 2 weeks to opening game, and you haven't been working on a power play that was like 10% last year?
But right now, you've got like 60 players in camp.
Yeah, right. I know. But
you've got too many players.
Be thinking about the power play.
He's definitely thought about it.
He's
thought about it. He's just not working on it.
And my final game point about the game last night was a great 3-0 win, but I was a lot more impressed with the New Hook Dock line in the Liney line on Monday than I was with the Caulfield, Suzuki, Slafkovsky line last night. And I'm just going to leave that there. You guys can comment on it however you like. But if you watch the games and I watch the game, I was way more impressed with them. I was way more excited to them than our number 1 line. Well, so I think it's going to be a battle between those 2 lines this year, and that's fun. That's fun.
Here's what I'm going to say on that. So we know that Kirby Dach was injured for most of last year.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe Kirby Dach has spent a lot of time over the summer working on Kirby Dach. Okay? Alex Newhook, same deal. Patrick Laine,
same deal.
We know he definitely has been working on himself mentally. We know that he is trying to reinvent himself.
For sure.
And so we know from his speak that he feels that he can bring the same game that he brought when he was in Winnipeg at the very beginning of his career back, and even more so, even better here in Montreal. I think, Suzuki is steady. Caulfield went and saw Taylor Swift a few times.
Sorry about his luck.
And Slafkovsky, I believe, worked on his game. So we'll see where it goes.
Now, there's nothing wrong with a nice competition between those 2 lines, right?
Absolutely.
I
think, though, the second line has been working a little harder than the first line over the last 3 or 4 months, and but the cobwebs should come off fairly quick.
Yeah, and like I say, the competition between those two lines is going to be fun. It's going to be fun this year when they get going because it's going to be a big competition, and Line A is going to be in competition to show Austin Matthews he still has it. There's going to be a lot of different things going on with the dynamics in the NHL and on Montreal, and you got to love it. And you know what? When those two lines get in a competition, don't think the guys in the third and fourth line don't want to show what they got.
Well, and I think that's what you're seeing with what's going on with guys like Hez,
Yep, which is beautiful.
And Anderson. And what I think is you're going to get some interesting stuff too. I mean, everybody knows that there are going to be some games that are tied, and they're going to go into overtime, and they're going to be tied, and there's going to be a shootout. Well, don't you want to be the guy who's selected to be in the shootout?
Well, I can't wait to watch. It's going to be one guy after the next. Who will they put up? Caulfield, then Suzuki, then Doc, then Slafkovsky, then Line, then Newhook. I mean, we have lots of guys to put up there now. Anderson, whoever, our defenseman, Hutson, Mailloux. These guys can score too.
So it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, like the shootout's going to be great. I don't even know how Marty St. Louis is going to pick the first guy to shoot.
Well, I'm sure MSL is going to go by the feel of the game. He's going to go on feel.
Who's playing well?
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's awesome.
But there's a lot to select from.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
That's a great thing.
That makes me happy.
Absolutely.
Le troisième étoile de la semaine dernière. Who do you got for the 3 stars this past week?
Well, it's a really interesting time to be in Montreal. That's for sure. I mean, I have to give the lower tier guys like Pizzetta and Anderson first star for working so hard to try to regain their game, let's say, and basically impress upon the fact to everyone, fans as well as coaching staff, that they are not ready to go out quietly. That they want to be a part of this winning team, this winning culture. So I think it's great that so many players in the off season have done so much work and are prepared to play hockey.
Number 2 star.
I think the second stars have to go out to the new prospects, the Becks, the Mailloux, the Hutsons, who are saying we want to be on the team. We don't want to wait. We are ready to play hockey. Let's go. We want to be on this team, and so they're inspiring as well.
Number 3
and number 3. I think we have to give it again to the fans. The fans are going to support this atmosphere. They're going to embrace this team. They're going to stay positive, and they're going to respect the rebuild. And I think the rebuild is real. I think that's the big takeaway. The rebuild is real, and the biggest challenge. And then there's, like I say, my word this week is depth. So depth is such a great word because we have so many, we have so much talent, but now it's difficile to bring on, to decide which talent we should keep, which talent we will probably have to relinquish. How do we relinquish that talent to the best, our best advantage? And at the same point, what is the best way to nurture all of this talent?
Yeah, Marty St. Louis has his work cut out for him.
And Ken Hughes. Some major decisions will be made. And it's it's one thing to herd, 60 players. If you've got 80, then, it's even more challenging. And that's the situation we're in. It's very beneficial if injuries take place, but it's very challenging.
Yep. Okay, my 3 stars this week were our goaltenders, and that's all of them. They tossed up 2 shutouts, Sammy, Primo, Dobish, and Hughes. They all looked real sharp in the nets in their games. And the reason I made them my number 1 pick is I have been really worried about goaltending, and I've said it many, many times. That could be our Achilles heel this year if we get Soliga. Da, 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 da. Well, if this is a harbinger of the season, I mean, bring it on. Bring it on. These guys stood there, stood tall, stopped what they had to. The defense, I think, was just a little bit better in front of them maybe than last year. And we're going to see that, I think, this year. So good for them. I am so happy they got 2 shutouts. That is fantastic. And good for you guys. I want to have a lot of faith in you. And I want you to play good this year to give us a shot at the playoffs. We can get this kind of goaltending, just solid goaltending. We're not going to look back. My second one was Lane Hutson. This kid lived up to his billing, and I think he's going to make the starting lineup. Now, I see, he's got some defensive liabilities. He's a young guy, and he's smaller. We saw that, but I think the upside of his game, his control of the puck in our zone, his control of the puck in the offensive zone, his elusive moves with it, his bang on passing, laser passing. I think it's going to bring the Habs a lot more goals this year than his any defensive liabilities, which he will tune up with the help of guys like David Savard and Matheson. I think this kid is the real deal, and I got to give him the second star. He impressed the hell out of me and all the fans, and I think he's going to be around for a while, and I think he's going to start the season with the Habs.
See, and that's where a guy like Reinbacher, in a couple of years, if he becomes that solid number 1 defenseman, will be able to hold down the fort for Lane Hutson.
Yeah, he'll be the pair up maybe.
And that's what I really think will happen, as well as what you said about the laser passing. So where can we most sharpen that skill? In the AHL or the NHL?
The NHL.
Exactly. And that's why it's more important probably for Lane Hutson to be starting it in the NHL than a Reinbacher. So Reinbacher can learn how to play that defensive skill in the AHL, and Lane can play with more challenging, faster caliber hockey and actually embrace it and focus on the improvement of that passing game.
My third star is the Newhook Doc Liney line. I mean, to me, this is the most exciting line I've seen on the Habs for years. With Hutson and Savard on D, this second line could be deadly. I cannot wait to see them when the season officially starts against the Leafs. And you know what? I'm really, really, really excited about this line. I don't know why. I just like watching them. I really got excited when I was watching them. They look like they could just score when we need it. Those times when you need a goal, these guys can come out and put the puck in the net. They're all dynamic. And
well, I mean,
team that up with the first line, and you got a winner.
Last year we had a first line that did extremely well for the last half of the season.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that was due to Slafkovsky really coming into his own.
Yep.
As well as Suzuki playing extremely solid, as he has done for the past 3 or 4 seasons. So now this line will continuously be challenged. We know they have the parts, but they'll be continuously challenged against the top lines of each NHL team that we play. We don't know really. We didn't see Doc play, 1 game? Lanny wasn't on the team, and Newhook only played maybe half the season. So this has got potential.
Yeah.
Potential, up to break open into the skies. And so this is that's why it makes it so exciting that we have this awesome combination of players who we believe are going to be a second line challenging the first.
An honorable mention I have to give to Pizzetta. This guy has a role and he loves it. He plays every game with gusto and leaves everything on the ice. Seeing him get 2 goals last night made me happy for him. I mean, you really do have to love the guy. And if you're going to look at a poster child for the Montreal Canadiens, what you expect out of him, Pizzetta's a great guy because, like I say, he goes out there and tries every game. And if we can get 60 minutes of hockey from the team, not 50, not 40, 60 minutes of hockey with that attitude, this is going to be an interesting season for us. I'll report back next week, next Wednesday, when we get through this preseason about how the rest of it went. But right now, I'm very optimistic, and I've been optimistic since May, saying that we're going to make the playoffs. We're going to be hitting for a wild card spot, maybe. And I when I see this, I really believe that we're going to. And I don't know about everybody else, but I love it, and I can't wait.
Well, again, like I say, we just did a TV show that's airing currently called The Rebuild, and you're seeing it right before your eyes.
Here we go.
Pizzetta, I love Pizzetta. I think this is going to be one of the most difficult decisions for Ken Hughes and MSL.
It is.
I really do. I really think I'd like to see that on October the 9th, Mike Pizzetta is on the team, but I don't know if he'll be on the ice that night. He might be a healthy scratch that night.
Good point.
It's going to be very difficult for MSL and Ken Hughes to make room for all the players who we need to have on this team. So the next few weeks are not only going to be exciting to see the results of preseason play, but it's going to be very interesting to see where people end up.
Yep, and I'm just going to keep watching all the Facebook posts. There's a lot of people that are very happy right now, of course.
If you're a Montreal fan, you must be happy. Enjoy what's going on. Absolutely.
That's right. I mean, this
absolutely.
I mean, over the top.
Two wins, and in the preseason, yeah, they're just preseason wins, but we just iced two basically entirely different teams with basically the same result, and everybody is in great spirits. Everybody wants to be where they are. So it doesn't really get better than that.
Nope, it's time to celebrate. And on that note, we're getting out of here.
Boom.
Thank you for tuning in. We really appreciate it.
Merci.
Give us a thumbs up.
Thank you for all the likes.
Give us some chat. Give us some information. Give us stuff. We'll talk about it on the air if you make comments. And subscribe to the channel. We want to get more subscribers. And, of course, we're missing Drew Deeks here this week. We wish he was here, but he can't be. And he will be back sooner than later with his... but he's still doing his broadcast, too, on the Drew Deeks channel. So you can tune in and get his take on the games. He does something after most games. So check that out. And, of course, we say hello to all our Canadian Habs friends out there who are doing podcasts. We love them all. And
absolutely.
We go back and forth. So anyway, my name is Paul K. Lemire. This is
Jean-Louis Fillion.
Yes, coming to you live from Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada, in what we call Habsolutely in the studios of 4680Q Radio. Have a great week, everybody. We're going to beat those dirty loafs, so let's go get them tomorrow night. I can't wait to watch the game. Ciao for now, everybody.
Salut.